World Series. I mean, might not go 18 innings, but I've noticed that the crowd is now pretty significantly. And you know, like baseball, there's no deadline. Who knows how long this is going to go for?
Mr. Chairman, we're not as interesting as the Red Sox.
Pardon?
We're not as interesting as the Red Sox.
That is true, but we're also not as highly compensated as the Red Sox, I think. So I appreciate taking the break. I know that everybody's been having some sidebar conversations at the break. I think we might have a path forward. I'm going to defer to Commissioner McBride, who has a suggestion on the two issues that we're talking about that I think are stumbling blocks right now. So Commissioner McBride, if you would put on the table your thoughts and recommendation, I'd appreciate it.
So my suggestion would be to strike out the section 13C that Commissioner Title has concerns about.
13C.
C.
Yeah, 13C. Go ahead. Sorry.
The reason for that being that I think that it's important that we try to move forward with having something in place so that we can be satisfied that we have a policy that's in place prior to commencement of operations. I can understand the concern around this, and so I think that that's language that we can commit to working on and coming back on at a later date and time. If we can take it out today and move this forward,
okay,
and we can continue to kind of work on that and get to, I think, what an agreed upon understanding would be of the reason for having.
I'm confident with the staff, the help staff, and enough work on conversation on our part, we can do that. So keep going, please.
On the definitions, I think that we would delegate that to the legal department to define those terms that we identified.
Yep.
On the gift issue, I think that we talked about narrowing it and that language can be worked on.
Yep.
And on the nature of the charges and reporting of charges,
Yes.
I would suggest striking out the legal department, the phrase legal department, and that should be something that is reported to the executive director and the director of human resources.
So this is 15, you're suggesting each commissioner and employee has been charged with felony, misdemeanor, or ethical misconduct shall promptly report such incident to
The executive director or director of human
or director of
resources.
HR.
And that we would direct the executive director and director of human resources to draft a policy to ensure that confidentiality of that information is maintained. That sound?
Confidentiality is maintained until they determine that it's necessary
Right.
to act on it.
Well, that's a
Yeah.
policy of confidentiality,
Yes.
not just
Yeah.
what you retain, but how long you have to retain it, and under what circumstances can you violate confidentiality.
I think that's important. First of all, as always, thank you, Commissioner McBride, for offering us some creativity and problem solving. Can I have some comments on the suggestion that Commissioner McBride just made?
I'm fine.
Commissioner Doyle?
Yes, I'm fine. I just want clarification on if we're gonna take a vote today.
Yeah.
What document we're like, you know, I'd like to just have some clarity on this
Sure.
particular document.
So we'll work on that logistically in a second. I just want to see if people are basically comfortable with the concept of the proposal that Commissioner McBride has made. Commissioner Flanagan?
I'm good.
Okay.
I am good as well. Once again, deep gratitude to Commissioner McBride and Commissioner and Councilor Bailey. Appreciate the problem solving. Do you have thoughts on which document we should use, whether it should be Commissioner Title's document, or I think it's really both. I think that we have to kind of say that, you know, we can be very explicit saying on the issue of social media, we'll follow your suggestion about taking out 13C. On the issue of unlawful conduct, section 15, we'll change the language the way you suggested, and then additional requests for clarification or definition, frankly, come from Commissioner Kyle's document, from your comments, Commissioner McBride, from other people's comments. So I think we can create a motion that refers to all of those inputs in terms of giving direction to the staff. Go ahead,
Can I just make the suggestion that maybe we work from the document that was sent to us on the email and then incorporate Commissioner Title's
Yeah.
changes into it, only because we just got that today,
No,
and people may be wanting to.
I think it's fine, so I think the motion should be something that, you know, we vote to approve the document that was originally circulated by the general counsel, that we strike section 13C, that we modify section 15A.
Can you slow down, sorry?
Sure,
I just-
sure.
I'm trying to catch on.
At Bain, they used to say there are two kinds of people in the world, the quick and the thoughtful, and Hoffman, you're not one of the latter, so we could make that on us.
13C, you're proposing to strike.
Strike with the caveat that Commissioner McBride suggested that we ask the staff to come back with language on that to vote on at a subsequent point in time. But for the vote we're taking today, we would strike 13C. That's one thing. Second thing I'm suggesting is that in section 15A, we change the language, again, consistent with Commissioner McBride's suggestion, and just to be explicit, it will read in the motion that I would like to ask for, each commissioner and employee who has been charged with a felony, misdemeanor, or ethical misconduct should promptly report such incident to the executive director or the director of human resources. We will also direct the executive director and the director of human resources to draft a policy with respect to the confidentiality of these, this information. So that would be the two explicit changes that I would propose to the document that was circulated by the general counsel that was reviewed. Then I would like to, in the motion, say that the additional requests for clarification or for change, including the change to the reporting requirements for gifts, that were made in combination between Commissioner Title's document that was just distributed today, Commissioner McBride's comments during the session. We asked the general counsel to incorporate in the motion the request of the general counsel and her staff to embed those definitional changes. So I think that's, we work off to your point, Commissioner Flanagan, let's work off this document.
Yeah.
But does that work for everybody, what I just articulated?
So can I just clarify then?
Sure.
So that mean all of my changes would be incorporated except for the one about disclosing unlawful conduct?
Yes, and we're going to replace your suggestion with the proposed language change of Commissioner McBride's.
For
The unlawful conduct, for the unlawful
Yes.
conduct, okay. So I think I have a workable motion, is that correct? Or not yet?
No, I'm sorry, because I think we're going a little too fast.
I apologize for that.
Yeah, so, for example, one change that we didn't make that's on Commissioner Title's list,
Yes.
if I understood what happened, was the issue about gifts. So we're not going to delete that, we're going to clarify
Right,
the
So
scope of gifts.
let me do this. I'm gonna go through this in its entirety, and I'll go slowly and make sure it's complete, but we are going, the motion I'm gonna ask for is a motion to approve the draft that was circulated by the general counsel, or, through the office of the general counsel through the executive director, and make the following changes, or request the following changes. One is to delete 13C, which is the personal social media, to rewrite 15A, which is about unlawful conduct. Again, saying, replacing legal department director of HR and asking for a policy to be drafted with respect to confidentiality of the information. I'm then going to go through Commissioner Title's document and one by one, make sure we're all in agreement about what is going to be requested of the general counsel. So Commissioner Title, if I miss anything, please let me know. But starting on, this is Commissioner Title's document I'm referring to right now, page 4B at the very top. We want to be clear on the definition of registrant, correct? Right?
Are we gonna put the clarifications that Commissioner McBride wanted in the document as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna start with saying, this is the starting document, and here are the changes we're gonna make to the starting document.
Okay.
Okay, so that's, one is clarification in section B on page 4 of Commissioner Title's document. Again, Commissioner Title, if I'm missing something, please. We need, on page 7, very top of the page, definition with respect to close associate, definition with respect to affiliate.
defining, is everybody okay with defining close associate as those that were disclosed as such in applications?
I think that's the general counsel, is that okay?
So are you asking, are you delegating that to us to make the decision, or are you asking the other commissioners if they're comfortable with what you're doing?
I can ask you, are you comfortable with that, with defining close associate that way?
Okay, same page, page 7, there we've asked for clarification and change about, gifts that do not need to be reported, or requests for gifts that do not be reported at some trivial level, like buying a cup of coffee for an exchange of ideas or whatever. But I think it's clear what we've asked for, right? Can you articulate it better than I just did? 'Cause you probably shouldn't be, it shouldn't be hard to clarify it better than I just did.
Yeah, clarification on the scope of a gift that would require disclosure.
My understanding is that you're charged, that the commission would be asking the legal department to find a way of limiting theft and giving us some discretion as to how that works.
Did you already say, Mr. Chairman, defining affiliate?
Yes, I said define close associate and define affiliate. And I also think we have a suggestion that on page 7, again, Commissioner Tyler's document, section 10B, taking out private dealings. Is that your proposal? I don't think I've heard any arguments against that. Stop me again. I'm going to keep going until somebody tells me I'm going too fast or I missed something. On page 8, in item D, we want a definition of constituents so that it does not apply to all citizens.
I think that we agreed that we were going to, instead of looking for a definition of constituents, I think that the idea
Oh,
would be
it's
straight.
changing to define official dealings?
It would be to define official authority in C above it, and define official dealings in
Okay.
D, and then strike out.
Constituent. Okay, thank you. Okay, F on page 8 is not rewording anything, it's just moving a point into that section that commissioners and employees can use official social media for only in their official capacity. That's not changed, just moved. At the bottom of page 8 in section E, a definition of targeted solicitations is required.
I'm sorry, could you go back to constituents?
Yep.
There may be some cases where certain constituents may need to be included in this, so I would leave that up to the legal department's discussion.
Okay. Okay, thanks. On page 9, Commissioner Title had requested some comment that this section is based on state law and will be updated with state law changes. Is that something you'd like to see the legal take? Is there any objection legal to write language to that effect?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I wasn't asking legal. Okay. I think we talked about social media quite extensively. So on page 10 of Commissioner Title's document, A, B, and D are going to remain as is, but move to different parts of the document. C is the suggestion of Commissioner McBride that we remove C, but give the staff direction to come back with a proposal on C that we will discuss and vote on subsequently. Correct? Commissioner Turner?
I think that if there's a code of conduct for the staff, that wouldn't need a commission call, would it?
Well, it's not clear that that's going to be the outcome. If it is, if the outcome is that we just say we're going to put it in code of conduct, that's a different conversation, but we're going to ask them to come back with a recommendation on that and deal with that.
I don't personally believe that.
We might or might not have to vote on it. But, I think that's going to be the compromise I think we're going to be able to come to today, which is we'll take it out in this version and we'll come back and talk about it, whether it needs to be re-included or not.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. Pardon? Yeah, I'm getting there. See, you're going too fast for me now. I think page 11, confidential, information, we need definitional work on specific issue is thing, personal notes or legal advice, and how whether that's treated as confidential information or not under this section. On section 14, which is unlawful conduct, we agreed to take out, oh no, if the incident affected job duties, we did not ask for that change, we debated that, and that was your suggestion, Mr. Tyler, we agreed not to do that. So on section 15, unlawful conduct, it's each commissioner employee who has been charged with felony, misdemeanor, or ethical misconduct should promptly report such incident to the executive director or director of human resources, and we request a draft policy from the executive director with respect to confidentiality. So that, that's right.
That's right, but this is more of a,
That's not in the code of ethics, it's just something we.
It's
Okay, fine. Fair enough, thank you.
Can we go back to the definition of confidentiality?
Sure.
So general counsel, I don't know how coherent my comment was earlier, so I just want to make sure it made sense. That if I had something like personal notes, that would technically be, I think, meeting this definition, that it still wouldn't be, I would still be allowed to disclose it if I wanted to.
I think that's right. If I will talk to you about that afterwards, for the purposes of this, I will make sure that whatever we included there as confidential information makes sense.
I don't have anything else, at least I'm reading your document correctly, Commissioner Tuttle and Commissioner Bryan, you made roll comments, and I was going to do roll comments. Commissioner Bryan.
I mean, it's not to, on the social media piece, I don't think it's so much a question of whether, I think it's a question of what the verbiage says.
Anything else that I missed?
There were two more in the document.
What pages, please?
On page 11, under limitations on comments and pending matters, I had added summarizing a
Public comment made in the duty posted open meeting. An issue with that from the commission? Adding that language to section, this is section 16 of the original document, adding the language that says, it's summarizing public comment made in a duly posted open meeting. Any objections to that? Anyone want to say that one, Commissioner Thompson?
Just on page 12, just for clarity, added confidential a second time and post-employment obviously.
Okay. Okay. Have I missed anything else? Council, you were going to say something?
I'm all set, thanks. Just those two that I wanted to.
Okay, I am going to try to make a motion that works. I'm not sure I can do this, but I'm going to try. I would like a motion to approve the draft code of ethics that was circulated by the executive director earlier this week, Cannabis Control Commission Code of Ethics. I would like to ask for a motion to approve the code of ethics with the following changes, striking section 13C, social media, rewriting section 15 on unlawful conduct the way we just discussed, and then with the list of changes and clarifications that we just went through in conversation based upon Commissioner Title's document and other comments by the commission that we have in our public record, we just made them. And I would like to ask for a motion to approve this code of ethics with those changes, with the agreement to come back and revisit the issues that we just pushed off essentially. And to do so, and can I just add, and do so in a timely manner. So is that okay with everybody?
Could you repeat it?
No, I don't think I possibly could. I really don't. I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the Cannabis Commission Code of Ethics as written or as distributed by the Executive Director to the Commission last week. I think it was last week. To approve that with the following changes. One,
Mr. Chairman, it was distributed by the chief of staff.
Was it distributed by the chief of staff? Okay. So, as distributed by the chief of staff last week, with the following changes in section 13C, eliminating section 13C, rewriting section 15 on lawful conduct the way we discussed and agreed in our notes, and to add the clarification and definitional changes contained in Commissioner Title's document as discussed and directed in this conversation. I'm sorry. Yeah.
And further to direct the legal department to draft or to just create language for consideration by the commission relative to social media, and to direct the executive director and the director of human resources to draft a policy on confidentiality.
Okay, so I could repeat that if necessary, but I prefer not to. So if that motion is well enough established in the record, then I would like to ask for a motion to approve or motion to approve that.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let the record show the commission unanimously approved that. I really do want to thank each of the commissioners and general counsel, and with this Paul,
And our associate general counsel, thank you very much.
that was a necessary, challenging, but very important conversation, and I think it was constructive, and I just wanted to thank my fellow commissioners for the way it was conducted.
Mr. Chairman, just a point of information, we have 20 minutes.
Yeah, no, I understand that. So I'm done thanking people, but I'll thank you for that.
Okay. There is one last agenda item, and that is the public hearings and public comments that were received on the medical marijuana regulations with respect to the transition. There's two ways to do this, and I'm going to put both on the table. If there are any, first of all, if there are any questions or clarifications about the comments, we're going to have those raised and answered by the appropriate staff members. My hope is that we can confine the conversation to the draft regulations that were developed and discussed at our last meeting. And if there are any changes that people would suggest from the technical nature and definitional nature to those draft regulations. To the extent that there are substantive issues that were not in those draft regulations, that's going to be a complicated conversation, and we can have it now, but I'd like to start at least with are there any questions about the public hearings or the public comment period, and any comments or requested changes to the draft regulations that were circulated last week or several weeks ago. I will make a personal statement here, which is that we've kind of talked about a lift and shift to bring the medical marijuana program over from DPH to ourselves by December 31st under statutory requirement. I personally believe that is the right thing to do from a standpoint of minimizing disruption or risk to patients. I went to both public hearings in Springfield and in Boston earlier this week. I absolutely recognize that there are some substantial concerns that people have expressed with the regulations around the medical marijuana program, and I am absolutely committed to address them. We need to bring the staff over. We need to learn from the staff of DPH that will become part of our commission. We need to see how the program works. We need to hear and work with people that have experienced the program and raised issues. I am absolutely committed to do that. I'm absolutely committed to do that in a relatively quick time frame with an appropriate regulatory timeline in terms of draft regulations, and public hearings, and public comments, and final regulations. I do not believe it is desirable or feasible to do that prior to December 31st. I just don't see how that can happen. And so my hope is we can make sure we're comfortable with the draft regulations that are required to bring the program over by December 31st and commit to a process and a timeline to address some more substantive issues with the program. So depending on whether people agree with me or not, it's either going to be something we can do in 20 minutes or something we can't do in 20 minutes. But Anyway, I'll open it now to the other commissioners for your thoughts on either questions about the comments or suggestions with respect to the regulations. Commissioner Doyle, whatever you want to say.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
I actually need clarification as to what you were asking of us.
Yeah.
Are you asking us to vote on the draft regulations
No,
right now?
no, I'm asking for any comments, questions, or guidance to give to general counsel about those draft regulations, so that at a subsequent meetings, probably 2 meetings from now, which would be, if my dates are correct, the 29th of November, Sean, is that correct? To vote on the 29th of November.
Oh.
So that's what I'm asking for, not to vote today.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I apologize for my lack of eloquence at this stage in proceedings. Maybe all the time, but certainly now. Commissioner Flanagan? Commissioner Wright?
Having looked at the comments that we received publicly and
Right.
having also attended both hearings, I believe that there are some significant substantive changes that need to be made to these regulations. I believe that we also need to have regulations in place in order to assume the program from DPH, and that the time just does not work to do both of those things by the time we assume the program from DPH. So I agree with your proposal. I do think that we need to put in place, I'm usually not, I think we need to put in place a timeline.
Right.
That is,
No,
that's fairly explicit, and I don't usually, like, I like to kind of give us the ability to adapt and to do things at a pace that is the right pace for the commission, but I think that in this instance, it is very important that we provide both patients and RMDs with that information and with that timeline. So I don't know what that timeline is necessarily. I think it needs to be reasonably short, but I think that it's probably something that we can work out exactly what the dates are as we work backwards from date of promulgation, moving backwards, but that for purposes of getting the DPH program under our umbrella, that we do this in sort of two parts, and also sort of give the respect I think that is due to the very good and substantive comments that we received at those hearings and in writing. We need to give them their due.
You know, I'm a big fan of timelines.
You comfortable with what I'm proposing, what Commissioner Pratt just articulated, or do you have any concerns?
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think we need to have a very substantive conversation. We all know what it's like to have to draft regulations quickly. And I would say that this is, an opportunity to really look at this. We've got some serious issues that we brought up in public comments. I agree with you, we need the input of the medical use of marijuana staff. And I agree with everything you said. I'm not any more articulate than that.
We're all doing the best we can. Commissioner Tyler?
I think I agree. Did we discuss if there are certain regulations that we do feel need to be added? Is now the time to discuss it?
Yeah, I think that what we need to be able to leave today with is instructions to the general counsel and the staff about what changes we think we need to the draft regulations, so that we develop that, we will not final regulations on the 29th of November. So if there are technical issues, certainly we need to raise those. Those can probably be raised online, but if there are substantive issues, that either omissions or commissions that we think need to be addressed prior to a final vote on the regulations on the 29th, then this is the time to raise them.
So I just want to be clear that we're talking about that vote, we're talking about the regulations, sort of part A, the regulations to.
Yes, correct, I'm sorry. Do you have comments or?
Yeah, I have just a few, and they're actually the same ones that I raised in the last conversation, which is that I think we need to have a commitment to implement temporary registration, given the limited staff that we have, and given that there will be resources that need to be devoted to that. I'm not sure exactly what the timeline is, but I think we need to commit to it. Similarly, I think that, and I hope everyone agrees, we're gonna have a bunch of discussion. I think that we need to waive patient fees. I think that as far as our entire program, the licensees, the RMDs, the agents, the ones who should not be paying are patients because it's not their fault that they have the conditions that they do. And then, lastly, I just think we should commit to a timeline for the next time when we will, I guess, do part B and come back to all the questions where we create parity between the two sets.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with the timeline. I would prefer not to impose a timeline on staff, but I'd like them to come back to us with a recommended timeline, working backwards from the promulgation date, but I absolutely agree that it should be a relatively quick timeline and one that the staff is committed to, but that I totally understand the timeline.
And then one other issue that I would like your advice on is the caregiver limit of one. I think needs to be revisited, but it's not clear to me whether we can do that in this round or if we can do it.
Mr.
Chairman,
Blackman?
the one issue that I would like to bring up when we have the substantial discussion is public education. I think that given the fact that we have an awareness campaign for commercial cannabis, I think we also need to start to think about what it's gonna look like for messaging around medicinal. Because I think there's a lot of confusion between the two, and I really don't want people to get stuck in sort of this vortex of not knowing the difference.
Yeah.
Especially for people who are caregivers, maybe of the elderly or of children, people who really can't advocate for themselves. And so, I haven't figured out a way that, how to incorporate it yet, because chapter 55 tells us to do certain things for the commercial side, but I really want to start to think about public education, as it pertains to both sides.
I couldn't agree more. If I could respond to Commissioner Title, first of all, I agree with the timeline. So, just personally, I think that's exactly right. On the other three things you mentioned, which are caregiver limits, temporary registration, and waiving of patient fees, I will tell you my personal opinion is I agree with all of those. But I also agree that we can't make major changes like that. We need to do this thoughtfully, comprehensively, and so I am not in support of trying to do this in the next couple of weeks. I just think we need to think through the program more carefully and fully we need to get more input from the current employees. So my personal opinion, that to me goes over the line of what I was suggesting, was suggesting that we keep the only regulations that we should approve right now are the ones that are required to move the program over with subsequent changes to the program. I believe should be part of the timeline process that we talk about. And these are, in my opinion, while I agree with them, they're very substantive changes, not least of which is, the Department of Public Health has a budget for fiscal 19 that they developed, not us, that hopefully, with a little bit of luck and hard work, we're going to get the second half of that to cover cost of running for the second half. That does not include waiving patient fees. We don't have the money unless we go back in. We have to go back into supplemental appropriation, which I'm happy to do if the office is ready to do. But we can't approve that regulation. We don't have the money to approve that regulation right now. And I'm not arguing against it. I think it's the right thing to do. I'm saying these are pretty important substantive issues that I think we should do according to the timeline that we requested, not in this probably short 2-week period. We don't have time to do public hearings about these. We don't have time to public comments about these. We don't have draft regulations. I don't know how we can improve final regulations without doing draft regulations and public hearings. The regulations that we just had public hearings about did not cover the topics that we just went through. So it's not disagreeing with any of your objectives. I completely support personally.
So in terms of the temporary registration, I wasn't suggesting that we implement that system immediately. I was suggesting that we commit in our regulations to implementing that system with the timeline.
That's a clarification. I'm not sure. I was thinking about how I think about that, but I appreciate the clarification. What about the other two about caregiver limits and patient fees?
If people aren't prepared to have the caregiver limit discussion now, I can understand that. The fees, I'm not sure there's anything I can say. We all heard the same comments.
What if that comes in the subsequent commissioners?
I agree with considering into a problem if we start picking and choosing substantive changes that we're gonna make now and that then we're gonna make later. So I understand the imperative of getting these into place.
But
I don't know what the right way forward is on that though, other than saying we're gonna do all of the substantive changes at one time and.
ask the staff to give us a timeline, because it thoughtfully but quickly. Commissioner Flanagan?
I would like to have the expertise of the medicinal staff, and I think that that's gonna happen when the program moves over to the umbrella that we have. And so I'm comfortable having these conversations, like Commissioner McBride said, in a thoughtful way, and just, I don't think that can be done before the program moves. And I really, again, I come from the side of, I don't wanna do it twice. I wanna get it done right the first time. I think people have, they need to understand that we wanna get this done right, and criticisms have come already for the past year, and it's gonna be what it's gonna be. I just really think that these are gonna be major changes, and, you know, we have a budget cycle, we are going to have to think about what happens when money moves and who's got control of it. It's just gonna be much more involved than simply saying, okay, let's wipe out fees, or let's do another awareness campaign, or let's do all these things, and I think we need some time.
But I'm committed to work with the executive director and my fellow commissioners, the rest of staff, to get the budget to do things like waiving fees, public relations, okay? We've got to work though, but I just want to make sure there's no misunderstanding. I'm hoping to work to make that happen. It's kind of fun, okay?
But with respect to that, and I, again, I'm not the cynic, but I am the cynic. There's a budget process now. We've gotten our shot of the apple. We got our requirement. We got the money that when we were a startup and we needed extra money, the legislature came back and they gave it to us. And, you know, just the other day when the governor signed this up, we had the $2 million for the awareness campaign. We are now going to have to go through the actual budget cycle. And so I don't think there were other chances for us to go back and say, suck up some more money.
I think we're gonna have to, we need sub for the second half of the fiscal year for the medical program, which is not
But
in
it's
the
gonna-
budget right now, so it's gonna have to come this up.
My suggestion is, well, if the sub comes.
Well, we could.
So that's what I'm saying, like, I don't want people to think that this is gonna be very easy to do, and that's why I'm saying a thoughtful manner is the realistic way to go, because we don't know if there's going to be a supplemental budget. They don't come all the time. It depends on what's in front of the legislature, and this, I can tell you with certainty, you can't rely on that. They just did the closeout sub. It's November. So I think being thoughtful and being, realizing what limitations we have in front of us is what needs to be part of the conversation.
Okay, so I don't,
sorry.
yeah, go ahead, Commissioner.
So where are we? I'll just
What?
narrow it down to the temporary certification. My suggestion.
Okay.
So, okay, I understand the caregiver limits. Next time. Fee, next time. In terms of implementing temporary certification, so that's already in the law. So that's not a decision that we have to make. So can we put in our current regulations a timeline? Is everybody on board with that?
I usually should have thought through that.
I think we need to find an appropriate way to put it in regulation, as well as regulation being kind of an administrative approach or kind of directive to both licensees, patients, you name it, but also putting that burden back on ourselves as well to do it. So it's either a statement we make in kind of a codified way, or embedded somewhere in regulations in I guess a careful, articulate way, kind of putting that stake in the ground. But I think it's something we could try to finesse and bring back to the commission for consideration about how to.
In this time, we're talking about February 29th?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. The reason it's possible, I guess, is that it's a task for ourselves to do. So I want to make sure we're articulate in a way that we can put it in
Okay.
regulation appropriately, but is something we will absolutely work towards as staff, because the Commissioner tells what it is in the statute as well.
Okay, I'm okay with that. Are there other instructions we wish to give to the staff with respect to changes in the regulations that were promulgated in their draft form?
Mr. Chair.
Other than the suggestion you covered it.
And it's just for the Commission's information and consideration, as well as that the advisory board was also tasked with, the various subcommittees of the advisory board, with discussing the medical use of marijuana regulation as well as co-location. Their next meeting on the 8th of November, so next week.
So,
Which my intent, as chair of that group, is to try to consolidate those recommendations and bring back
then we can
recommendations.
come back at our next meeting on the 20th, discuss that, and then we'll have the following, I guess it's a week and a half, plus or minus two, come back and go on that regulation. That was again, direction to staff to work on regulation with respect to temporary registration.
I have one other one, under the fees.
Yes.
Architectural review is listed as $8.25 per $100 cost of construction costs with a minimum of $1,500. And my understanding from applicants, only applicants, so with that caveat, is that, this is currently just charged as $1,500 and not that percentage of construction costs. So I think that should be changed.
Okay, so I don't think we have a need for a vote on this. On the agenda for the 20th, come back and look at the draft regulations with the changes we just talked about, Commissioner Child's suggestion, anything else that you need needs to be based upon feedback from the advisory board, and we will, at that point, give final instructions to the staff for the final regulations that we'll vote on the 29th. Is that, everybody okay with that?
By the time.
And also, we're gonna ask the executive director to come back on the 29th. I think the 20th might be too quick, but certainly by the 29th, we can come back with a proposed regulatory timeline for the broader changes that we want to discuss for the program. Is that something you can Tuesday, correct?
I'll do my best, yes.
Your best is always good enough, I think.
I don't think there are any further issues that I'm aware of.
I have one under new business, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, go ahead.
So I know there's been a lot of question about tinctures, and I just wanted people to know that,
Okay, great, thank you.
I'm working on a tincture guidance, and I'm hoping we'll be ready for the meeting on the 20th, but that, people should know that it is being addressed,
Thank you.
as much as we can.
Appreciate your work on that, Commissioner Rogers.
Anything else?
Okay, we had a possibility of having a second meeting in the morning with our agenda today. I think we had this with our Wednesday. So the next regularly scheduled meeting is Tuesday, November 20th, as I mentioned, 1 p.m. here at the Health Policy Commission. My thanks to everybody in the audience and certainly the commission staff. This is a long, challenging, but very important and very productive day. So thank you all.